Howdy, folks. This is Chris White, and you're listening to Basic Business Advice. Here with our producer again, Tyler Needing. I've said it every time for the last couple times, but Tyler is out on his own now at Needing Media. So if you need great recording, whether it's audio, video, or photography, talk to Tyler at Needing Media. Ken Hochstetler, which everybody should know from being with us for a long time, is actually our key expert on the topic today. We're going to dive into a little bit about the generative AI and ask Ken not only from his experience as an attorney, but also internal experience with our team here at the firm on investigating AI and trying to keep on top of AI, how business owners and team members should approach the use of AI. So Ken, we have been like, ChatGPT came out and you and I were like, hey, at the same time, have you seen this? And we were really, really excited about the potential ChatGPT has and other generative AI sources have for this. And then immediately, almost like within 30 days, you go, so this guy over the weekend wrote a collections letter off of ChatGPT. And we went, oh.
Yeah, a lot of things happening fast, right?
So let's just ask the blanket question, and then maybe we can dig in a little bit. Why is it not safe to rely on generative AI for legal documents right now? Not 6 months from now, not a year from now, but right now, why is it not safe?
Yeah, so if you look at AI, first of all, everything that's being put out there, at least on version 3.5, is 3.0 and 3.5 was based on data that was collected from 2021 and previous. And so while it's an amazing tool, there's a lot of content that's still missing. The other part of it that we don't fully understand at this point is exactly how it's putting together that data. So it's going out and it's saying, well, we understand this, and based on these words, we think that the next set of words are going to be this. And there's kind of this black box that we sort of understand how it works. We know that, generally we're using around 10,000 words in the English language, 10 to 15,000 in our normal vocabulary. We know that there's estimates of maybe up to 600,000 words being available, but generally if we're speaking, it's more in that 10 to 15 range. And so we know that it's really good at putting some of those things together. It's also really good at analyzing and looking at how those words could be changed and rewriting things. But what we're not sure of at this point is how accurate it can be as far as, especially with case law and part of the legal field. And what we're hearing and what we're seeing in some of the media is the fact that some attorneys have already attempted to use this, and it's actually made up case law. So there's a lot going on. It is an amazing tool. I don't want to minimize how amazing AI and what it can do. But at this point, there's still so many questions for the legal field.
So let's break down the process for ourselves. Let's say there was a business owner. They call in, they say, Ken, I've got somebody who's not paying.
Sure.
I need to go after them. I need to do this stuff. You start that process of writing a letter.
Sure. For
them to use. You're using consideration such as consumer financial protection rules.
Sure.
If this is a consumer transaction, you're using consideration of what local rules say.
Sure.
You're using consideration of, does their invoice have a ability to charge interest or make demands? You're collecting all of this data points from things that actually don't show up in the letter itself.
Sure.
But then you write the letter.
Right. Yeah. Most people kind of assume it's, this is just an easy, hey, we're going to use the same form. And there's portions of that, that certainly all attorneys use. And so, again, I don't want to minimize the fact that, AI can be helpful in drafting some of this stuff, but there's a lot of additional things that go into drafting this and making sure that the business owner, the individual's well represented, more than just saying, hey, whatever, form letter is going to go out with this.
And so on the flip side then, AI is I know this is not an accurate illustration, but it's like the monkeys, a million monkeys on a million typewriters hitting it eventually will produce the works of Shakespeare. The intentionality behind it, the context often behind it, or precedent, or whatever it is absent in AI as it currently exists. And so it can take an instruction and it can receive a piece of information and say, I need to write a collection letters for X amount of dollars. And then it constructs that because it understands how language works, but not necessarily the context around which that language is necessary at this point in time. Is that an accurate way of putting it?
Absolutely. And what we're dealing with is, there's so much data that you have to put in order to draft or have it draft things, as far as if you want it to draft things accurately. And so there's also the part of it where you're putting information out there that we don't know that is secure at this point. And that's exactly what the legal field is dealing with. Is right now there's going to be opportunities in the future for client data to be used in AI and for that to be firewalled off and to make sure that everything is secure, but we're not there yet. And so if you're putting things in there about customers, about people that you're contacting and that type of thing, that's out there for everyone. It is not firewalled off. And so that's kind of what we're waiting on. Is there's a lot of companies coming to market. They're saying, hey, we're 6 months away, we're a year away, we're several years away, and we're going to be able to allow you to put all of this data in and then help draft some of that, but we're not there yet at this point.
So if somebody was not wanting to use an attorney,
sure,
is ChatGPT a replacement?
The short answer is no. But
and biased as we may be,
sure. I mean, certainly, and this is true for a large group of people. It's not just us that, as attorneys, that are looking at this and saying, hey, like there's a lot of applications here. I mean, we're talking about everything from advertising and copywriters to people who do creative things to authors to, I mean, almost everyone is saying, there's a lot of potential here. And so when we look at, does this replace an attorney? Certainly in our opinion, it's going to be a very valuable tool that can possibly help provide access to justice for people who, A, struggle to pay attorneys, and B, it may affect what you're being charged by attorneys in the future, because these tools may provide efficiencies. They may make so that things can be done much quicker and better for the client. But we don't see it as this being a, hey, if you have a legal issue, you're simply going to be able to jump onto AI, whether that's ChatGPT or it's Bard or it's anyone else, and really be really great with solving the legal issue at this point.
So that's the next thing I wanted to go to is, put on your prognosticator hat. Where are we going with this? Because from being an attorney for 13 years and to be as reductive as possible, attorneys are professional problem solvers.
Sure.
Basically, we are if-then machines, which is why I think it drives people nuts when they ask an attorney a question. They I have this defined question and I want a defined answer. And our answer is, it depends.
It's our favorite answer. Right?
It depends, because it's always if this, then this. But if this, then this and this.
Sure.
And so if we get really, really reductive, we are professional if-then machines, which AI can replicate.
Sure.
AI, under the right context, can actually replicate it, and dare I say, replicate it more consistently.
Oh, absolutely.
Without human error, because it's a pure if-then, not a if I feel this, then this.
Sure.
Not if I didn't eat lunch, then this. So where are we going here?
Yeah. So at this point, there's a lot of varying opinions. Okay. So I've talked to attorneys who feel like AI is kind of the latest fad, and this is going to pass. And
just like computers, right?
Just like computers, like the internet. We have people who are early adopters, and we have people who really lag in that, and they're like, this is not going to be important. And then, occasionally we'll run across someone who's kind of hair on fire of, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be looking for a job in 2 years. And the reality is I don't think either one of those examples are particularly accurate. If we look at how long it took for a lot of the technology that we use to really be adapted and to be adapted well, I mean, it took the cell phone, until we got to the iPhone in 2007, we spent 20 years kind of wandering through the wilderness of what can be done with a cell phone. When we look at AI technology in the legal field, there's going to be a period, there's going to be some companies who are trying to rush to market that are saying, hey, we can solve your legal problems directly with just AI. No attorney needs to be involved. And we're not seeing a ton of success with that at this point. They may have some success in the future. But what I see is, again, kind of going back to that model of where companies are going to provide products to attorneys that really help streamline things and really hopefully help create efficiencies within the legal field. Because, like you said, Chris, the if-then problem, so much of legal is trying to take huge amounts of data, all the legal precedent before, all the cases that get decided on a consistent basis, and basically kind of draft things that work based on those decisions, right? And so for a human to spend days, weeks, months, years reading through cases and synthesizing that information into what they need for the problem that's in front of them, not super efficient. A machine is actually much more efficient at that. At the same time, that attorney has years and years of experience of understanding the human element,
right?
The aspect of how they need to present the case, the aspect of being able to say, this is how we're going to plan with this, and all the relationships they have, whether that be with an opposing counsel's attorney, whether that be with a prosecutor, anybody in their realm, they're going to better understand how to approach a case and how to deal with a problem than a machine can, at least for the foreseeable future, I would say.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you see that becoming a thing where it's only facts, only what the computer can find, and basically dehumanizing humans?
Yeah, it's a great question. So let's look at an example for a second. So the example I like to use is when you're talking about the difference between manslaughter and murder on a criminal charge. We'll just choose a criminal case here. So if you're driving down the road and something falls off of your lap and you reach down to pick it up, and when you do that, you run over a bicycle, right? You hit someone on a bicycle and you either severely injure or kill them, okay? Clearly, there's an element of that was just based on complete accidental, right?
Right.
Now we change the facts slightly. Let's say we have that same example, and now there's a situation in which you decide you want to pick up your phone and look at a text, and Ohio clearly has said, you can't text and drive, phone usage, that type of thing, and now you hit the bicycle. Okay, so the facts just changed a little bit, and you're trying to nuance, okay, is this a criminal charge? Was this an accident? Or, maybe we add the element of maybe we find out that, there was drug or alcohol use, or you didn't get any sleep for 2 days. So when we're talking about facts, it's very rare that cases will line up exactly like the precedent, and trying to understand what intent was, right? It's so hard for a machine to understand what your intent was and what you were trying to do up to the fact that where you hit the bicycle. So for me, that's what's really, really hard to replace on the human side.
And I think you hit on a great point. Justice, as much as we want to think the delivery of justice is a sterile environment where facts enter and judgment is rendered on the facts, justice is not a sterile environment. It is, and you introduce a whole bunch, and that's part of the job of the attorneys, especially in a criminal defense. Yep. You introduce doubt.
Sure.
You introduce doubt, questioning those facts.
Yeah.
It's just I think that's a really great point. I don't know that justice can be replaced effectively or holistically.
Sure.
By AI.
I sort of hope it is not. That was in my mind. You were talking, and I was thinking about like a futuristic movie,
Minority Report.
Yeah, something like that. Where like, oh, you did this.
Sure.
Here's your. I'm going to do a.
Yep.
Yeah. You get stamped with you're a criminal and move on, but
Yeah. But let's talk about the flip side of that. So let's say, how would AI be good in that scenario? AI would be amazing to say, hey, you know what? There's been 20 cases over the last 10 years in Ohio in which someone was distracted and they ran over a bicycle. Guess what? Not having the human element of trying to track down what each one of those cases was, being able to say, here's, some of the basic facts, find cases that match up with that so that we have an idea how judges have ruled in the past and what the punishment should be. So absolutely, there's an aspect that would be, but still doesn't replace the human aspect.
Yeah. I hope it never does.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
in that area, at least, I feel like it could be super great for research.
Oh yeah.
And finding those things instead of, you spending the time reading through laws and every time they change and
and that's the thing. The changes are if you have a legal assistant that automatically knows every change to the law, that would be a massive leg up.
Right.
Sure.
One of the things that I think you highlighted, Ken, is that one of the human elements is understanding the person. AI and the law suffer from the old colloquialism, garbage in, garbage out. Lawyers are dependent upon all of that stack of data that people bring, but they have brought it selectively. They have brought the best pieces of data. How many times with Tyler in that situation, you hit the car, you're going to put yourself in the best possible light. And so not the truth necessarily fully, but the facts that support your position.
Yeah.
And that's one of my concerns in direct to consumer legal services.
Sure.
You have the ability to craft the situation however you want. And truth never once enters into the discussion. And so now, can lawyers do the same thing? Absolutely. That's not unique to AI.
Yeah.
I think I just read the other day that they're now calling into question the lady in Colorado with the cakes shop.
Okay. Yeah.
That the entire situation was fraudulent upon which the Supreme Court based its case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like they set it up. They actively set up the situation by which she brought her claim. And you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out.
Yep.
You create a fraudulent situation, you can create the AI will create it based upon the facts that you provide.
Absolutely. And the other thing, if we're looking at, some people being concerned about, well, is this going to, what does this mean for the model of being an attorney? One of the interesting things that you can look at is that AI has the potential to create as many issues as it solves.
Sure.
If we look at evidence and we look at using AI in fraudulent means as far as making it seem like someone is talking to someone else. If we get into deep fake videos, I think you guys got to see a couple months ago, I was just playing around with some of the imaging things. I was able to easily, within 10 minutes, take a photo and put a knife that would potentially look like a murder a murder weapon on a table. And so there's a ton of things that are coming as far as how do we differentiate what is being created by AI, what is being created by humans in the legal field as well.
And that's an area of forensics that, every time something is leapt forward, forensics has had to leap forward with it to match it and meet it. And it's always, there's a lag. There is a definitive lag. My concern, Ken, and maybe you don't share this, the law doesn't change quickly. The legal profession is almost exactly the same as on the same pace as the law. It does not change quickly.
Sure.
What is the danger in how technology is advancing so quickly in this area to the legal profession. What do you see?
Yeah. So, well, if we kind of jump back to what we talked about at the beginning, it's people making the assumption that whatever AI is putting out has a legal basis and would stand up in a court of law. So there's obviously that part of it. And then there's also the aspect of exactly what you said, the evidence, forensics, those types of things. AI has the ability to move quicker and be able to create things that there are no laws for yet than what we can do. And so the courts, the judges, everybody's going to be scrambling over the next decade, I think, in trying to figure out, okay, we heard about an issue being created by AI here. How do we quickly make so that that situation doesn't spread and it's misused and mishandled? And kind of give you an example of what types of things you can do. You know, if we're going through a divorce hearing, it's really not hard to submit evidence with text messages, with all these forms of communication. I mean, even, you know, voicemails can be submitted as evidence. There's all of these different things. And AI can start creating documents that look official, that are fraudulent. They can create text message communications that are fraudulent, that make it look like it actually happened. It can create voicemails. It can create images. And so it really is going to be a challenge both for attorneys and courts to stay in front of that.
Yeah. A lot of opportunity to take advantage of people.
For sure.
So the short run isn't that AI isn't a danger that we have to run screaming from. It's just, we need to understand it's in its infancy as far as a consumer product goes. And as far as consumer products go, you have to be buyer beware a little bit, especially in your infancy of something, and understand what it can do and how powerful it can be. But it will be really interesting because for business owners, it'll be interesting the day that a in-house AI comes out that allows them to redraft their contracts, that allows them to do some of these documents that are in compliance with all the laws, because it does give them a leg up in doing things more thoroughly, things that we might actually prefer they do in the first place.
Absolutely.
So that time is coming. So thanks, Ken. I appreciate you sharing your insights on this, and because I know you're hip deep in figuring this out. So
yeah, keep trying every day. It feels like the technology is changing fast enough, which is great that there's always something new to learn.
Yeah. Well, Tyler, thank you today. Ken, thank you. And on behalf of both of them, have a great day.